So let's talk about SIFU and making the game a little bit easier, because there's been a huge debate about this game's difficulty level, which, you know, I can see from both sides. But I played this game today on stream for the first couple of hours, raged a lot. I'm going to have a compilation coming up soon. But I want to talk about specific ways that you can just make the game a little bit easier, and just think about how you're engaging in fights, because it's quite obvious that a lot of people just jump in and try to fight and attack and punch, and that can, you know, lead to your demise quite quickly. So if this video helps, please hit that like button. It helps me out more than you realize. Leave a comment down below telling me what you're thinking about this game. Subscribe, hit the little notification bell, go into the video description, see my social media, and follow me on all of those. I would be grateful. Thank you very much. Let's move in to the game. Now, first and foremost, the biggest thing about this game is unlocking skills. Now, there's two ways to do it. As you're running through, you will gain XP. XP will allow you to pick a perk when you get to dragon areas, or when you die you can switch to the screen and unlock a skill. This could be like kicking things across the floor to trip people over. It could be focus moves. You can unlock the skill. However, what you want to do is figure out a skill that you're pretty adept with, something that you really like, really enjoy, that makes the game a little bit easier for you. Once you unlock it, if it costs 1000 XP or 500 XP, you can then permanently unlock the skill, so that no matter how many times you restart the game, that skill will always be accessible to you. How you do this is, once you have gone and ran through a level and you get enough XP, you get like a little dragon, unlock the one you want, and then don't spend your XP on anything at all again until you get enough to once again spend the same amount of XP on that skill you already have. Once you do this 5 times, this will then unlock permanently for you. The ways you could do it is when you die, when you get to a dragon statue, but also once you complete the level and you go back to your home base, if you walk through to where the tree is, you can spend your XP there too. The great thing about this is the skill's already unlocked when you get to the tree, so you can just spend all the XP on the permanent unlock option. I do want to say though, if you do level 1 and then you get to level 2, I believe that you will have to unlock the skill again for the first time. So when you get into level 2, even if you have 3 permanent unlocks left, you have to unlock it once first for that game playthrough of that level. And then after that, any XP you get, you can further unlock the skills. So if you want to make it a little bit easier for yourself, run the first level over and over and over again until you get some of the permanent unlocks that you want and need to make the game easier for you. Running the same level over and over again also helps you with timing and just learning how enemies move and kind of patterns and stuff, and just kind of put that muscle memory into your hands of how to play this game. And upon doing so, when you have these permanent unlocks, whenever you run the game again, you don't have to waste your XP on those unlocks, so you can try out other skills and other abilities. This is a roguelike game. I don't know whether it's actually marketed like that, but it is. The more you play it, the more you permanently unlock, the easier that it gets. It's still going to be ridiculously hard because of just random things that might happen, like a guy jumps 50 foot across the map and hits you with a stick. Things like that are going to happen. That's the enjoyment of a roguelike, well, enjoyment, but you know what I mean. Next, using parry and avoiding. So for avoiding, you can either dodge right, left, or back, or through the person if you're brave enough. I have found that avoiding away from an enemy is just the most consistent way not to get caught with a random hit, because I always seem to dodge at the right time, but because of where I'm positioned, or I'm moving like slightly into their kind of path of where they're throwing their punch or where they're throwing their weapon, I get caught very briefly. And a lot of those attacks as well can stun you, and then you just get absolutely beat down by everyone in the room. So I like to avoid away from the enemy. It also gives me kind of a distance between them, so once they finish their patterned move, so let's say they do 3 attacks, I know that as that 3rd attack's coming, I could judge the space, dodge inwards and get in a combo and get out. And kind of the idea of this game is not just to get in and beat the living crap out of people, it's to kind of play hit and move. So you jump in, do a little combo, jump out, jump in, do a little combo, jump out, maybe switch to a different enemy, hit that enemy, dodge out. That's the way I play it anyway. Now, parrying is a tough one. Parrying is very, very useful to build stagger gauge on an enemy, and when the stagger gauge comes, you obviously can hit the 2 buttons together and immediately finish off the enemy. Very, very useful. So when you parry, you leave them open to do a little couple of punches and maybe go on into a combo, but you get a big boost in their stagger bar. I can't remember what it's called in this game, but it is basically stagger bar. The problem with this is parrying is extremely precise and very unforgiving. If you go for the parry where basically you hit the block button as the move is coming in, you have to be, I'm pretty sure it's almost frame perfect. They really need to kind of adjust the parry system to be a little bit more forgiving. But if you do get that parry, then you get the ability to get in a couple of hits. But if you miss that parry, you're going to get comboed a lot, which means you lose a lot of health, and then you're screwed for the rest of the game. And speaking of the double button move, it's called a takedown. Now, takedowns are very, very useful because you get a decent sized chunk of health after you take someone down. So your aim in this game is to get the yellow bar up, and then as soon as you see that stagger hit, just whack a takedown on them and get a lot of health back. And if you do this with multiple people in the room, you're going to get a sizable chunk of your health back if you're struggling in that current room or mission or area. The best way to get health back is to do takedowns. And I think probably one of the most important tips I'll say is try to have a weapon on you as often as possible. And as well, once you are familiar with specific levels, like say you go back to the first level because you want to end it at a younger age, look for the enemies that have weapons, specifically bottles, because bottles can be thrown at you from off screen and you die. So once you know who the enemy is who spawns with that or is close to a grab on a bottle, rush that person first and kill them before they get that bottle off and start to attack you. Also, if you beat them to the bottle, then you get to use the bottle to throw at someone or smack someone in the face. Weapons like staffs and iron bars and stuff like that, you know, the big meaty weapons that you could do a lot of damage with, are also very good for blocking other weapons. There's a boss at the end of the first level who uses basically a machete knife, and he does a lot of damage when he hits you. But if you run around and pick up the bamboo sticks, you could block it with relative ease, apart from like the unblockable attacks obviously, and do some damage back to him. The bosses are very, 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 very difficult in this game, so really don't freak out if you're struggling with them. They're very, very difficult. However, if there's any weapons in the room, it's going to make them a little bit easier. And I think last but not least, I'll just say consider playing stealthy in some areas. There's a whole bunch of enemies around. You could pick off one or two of them before the fight even begins by just being stealthy. Now, if you run up to them and hit them, you will immediately put them into stun, which means you can immediately kill them. There's a few enemies that might spawn with a weapon who have your back to you or in a specific room that you can get to before everyone else sees you, that you could just run in, hit them and take them out completely, pick up their weapon, and it gives you a huge advantage against the rest of the room. So make sure you look to play stealthy as well. I will say, as the last little kind of tip that I would say, is try to keep your back away from the large amount of enemies. Like, don't let them get behind you, don't let them get to the side of you. Keep them all relatively in front of you. Use your pillars, use your walls, use your mounted areas that you can jump over to escape if you need to. But if you get surrounded by these enemies, you are going to have a very, very hard time, because even if you're a god at parrying and blocking, if two enemies attack at the same time, you are going to get hit pretty badly. And that's about it, really. Just this game requires patience. Let's just put it that way. It's not easy. It's very, very hard, especially at the start. But the more you play it, the more you get that muscle memory down for parrying and blocking and avoiding. It's going to get a little bit easier as you keep on going and going and going. And obviously you unlock skills and permanently unlock skills. So keep it up, keep going, keep focused. It's a very, very stressful game, but it's a very fun game I have found, and I'm going to do a little bit of a review on the game coming up soon. But I hope these tips helped. Again, like button, comment, subscribe, social medias, all that stuff. Thank you for watching. I've been easynow. You guys have been awesome.